Hello, this is Lerone Kuntz, and I'm back on my virtual stoop to continue the conversation from yesterday concerning Captain Rebecca Hillman, who worked at Manhattan Detention Complex and is now charged with criminally negligent homicide in the death of inmate Ryan Wilson. This inmate hung himself in his cell while the captain was there and the officers were there, and the captain is alleged to have prevented the officers from rendering aid to the inmate and just allowing him to hang. This is a very serious case, and I would like to give my condolences to the family of the inmate who killed himself. I know this must be devastating. I know it is devastating to everyone involved, especially the family.
Miss his personality and how he was with the family, very jokingly.
Delayed 15 minutes of opening the cell of Ryan Wilson. That 15 minutes could have saved his life.
Some of these inmates come from good families, and some of these families depend on corrections to help get their loved one back on track. And so it can be, and I'm sure it is, very devastating to hear that their loved one died under these types of circumstances. And I also would like to give my condolences to the captain that's involved in this. Do I think that she's some cruel, sadistic, evil person who has no regard for human life? No, not for a minute. I don't believe that. I think that she actually felt that the inmate was playing, as she put it, that he wasn't serious about committing suicide. And he was trying to manipulate the situation by putting a noose around his neck and trying to get his way. That happens sometime in corrections where an inmate will threaten suicide. But the department is clear on what they want us to do, or they want correction officers to do, and captains and staff in general, when someone exhibits suicidal behavior. We're supposed to refer them to the psych. As simple as that. Now, before I get into what the department wants, I would like to clarify what criminally negligent homicide is. Now, this is from a defense attorney in New York, and on his website he writes, criminally negligent homicide in New York is outlined under the state's criminal statute 125.10. It occurs when a person causing the death of a human being in a way that was careless, reckless, or inattentive. This means an individual accused of a crime didn't mean to kill the alleged victim. However, their actions were so bad that a person died. A person can be accused of criminally negligent homicide if they fail to act. Their failure to act, such as the failure to provide care for someone, results in the death of that person. So that is pretty much what they're accusing or alleging that happened here in this case. But I don't think that the captain had any malicious intent here and was just not uncaring. I think that she misjudged the inmate's determination or his motives. And I'm going to get deeper into that, but first I want to talk about what the department wants. The department, I have a New York City Department of Correction directive. This directive is 4018R, and the subject is referral of inmates to mental health services. Now, it's pretty cut and dry. You know, it's only, 4 pages, and it says pretty much in the procedures, whenever a correction officer observes or is informed of an inmate exhibiting behavior that may necessitate mental health intervention, the correction officer shall immediately notify his or her area supervisor. And that's what was done here. And then it says, upon receiving notification that an inmate may be in need of mental health services, the area supervisor shall ascertain the urgency of the situation and take appropriate action. That's what's supposed to happen. Appropriate action in this case would be to cut the inmate down. Simple as that. That didn't happen here. The department doesn't want staff or correction officers and captains to try to determine whether the inmate is serious or is he playing. They don't want that. They just want us or you to refer the inmate to Mental Health Services. They have a form that's attached to this directive, and we used to call it a psych referral of inmates to mental health services. And it's very cut and dry. You put the inmate's name, his booking case number, and then you go do the checklist, and you fill it out. The captain fills it out, signs off on it, and it goes to mental health services. So in this case, that's exactly what should have happened. The officer did call the captain. The captain was supposed to assess the inmate, and in this case, cut him down, send him to mental health services. That didn't happen. And I think the captain genuinely thought that he was playing, and that happens. And you know what also happens? Sometimes an inmate is playing. Sometimes an inmate will pretend to commit suicide in order to get his way, in order to get a transfer, in order to not get a transfer, in order to act crazy so when he goes to court he can claim that he's not in his right mind. There's a lot of reasons why an inmate may pretend to commit suicide. In this case, the inmate didn't want to be transferred. So the captain very well may have been right in her opinion that the inmate was pretending, right? But the department does not want you to make that determination. When I was in the Department of Correction, we only received 40 hours a year of mental health training. Now that may have increased, but it's still not enough to make an assessment as to whether or not someone is serious about committing suicide. Leave that to the psychiatrists, to the real mental health professionals to make that determination. And sometimes they don't even get it right. Sometimes they say an inmate or a person is not suicidal and the person goes out and they kill themselves. But that's on them, and they have insurance for that, I guess, malpractice insurance. But that's neither here nor there. That's not our job. That's way beyond our pay grade. So in this case, it's alleged that the captain is trying to determine whether he's serious or has determined that he's not serious. That's doing too much. Keep it simple. You don't have to do that. Cut him down, send him to the psych. You want to get him transferred anyway. You're trying to transfer him out of the housing area. This makes that even more likely. Now you can call an emergency and just have him taken out right away. But that didn't happen in this case. And I think that she actually thought he was pretending. And also, like I said, I think the inmate was pretending. But what happens, and inmates need to understand this, and I've seen this happen, I've heard of this happening, is that an inmate will put a sheet around his neck, not trying to kill himself, but just trying to do a manipulative gesture, and the sheet will get tight on your neck, and it will stop the blood flowing to your brain, and you'll pass out. And if you're not revived in 3 to 5 minutes, you will die. You will have brain damage and you will die. So sometimes an inmate is pretending to commit suicide and just accidentally does it. And I think that's what happened in this case. And I would like to refer to this book. Now, this book is Correction Officer's Guide to Understanding Inmates. I wrote this book. I'm showing you this book not to plug the book. I'm showing you this book because I've sold a lot of these books and I've given out a lot of these books for free. And I know a lot of officers have this book. So I want to talk to the officers who have this book and tell them to go to page 122 in the chapter of Know Your Inmates. And at the bottom, I asked the question. It's at the bottom of 122. I asked the question: how can you tell if an inmate's suicide attempt is a true attempt or just a manipulative gesture? How can you tell if an inmate's suicide attempt is a true attempt or just a manipulative gesture? The answer is you can't tell. That's for the mental health professionals to determine. It's right here in the book. And what's ironic, on the next page, it says, if you see an inmate hanging and you suspect that it may be a manipulative gesture, do not ignore the inmate and let him hang. Cut him down immediately, notify your supervisor, and refer the inmate to the jail psychiatrist immediately. Now, this is so ironic, and I truly believe if the captain would have had my book and read that chapter, this wouldn't have happened. So I'm going to leave it there for now. But when I come back, I want to talk about the officers that were involved in this case. As some of you have mentioned, you know, on your comments, that there's a degree of liability with the officers as well. So I want to get into a little bit of that too. And also I want to talk about this myth of this blue wall of silence. So that's going to be in my next video. So as always, until next time, peace and stay safe.
This has been On the Stoop with Lerone Kuntz. Be sure to check out our sponsor, jailkeychains.com, for the best items created to honor correctional officers, because COs are heroes.